You know, I normally start these videos out with some type of like quick epilogue or some type of intro, but we got to get right over to the shenanigans because they're about to play again in like 2 hours. So let's just get into the shenanigans real quick. Sever the Bond from Newsbreak. You see the title of the video. Seth Curry drowned the entire state of Florida in a proper flood. We might have to start calling this man Noah because Seth went out there and drowned Miami in threes. I mean, there was multiple points where it was nonsensical, the amount of literal drip on display. Now, maybe Sarah Kustok and Michael Grady want to give the drip award over to Ben Simmons for his on-the-court sideline attire. Whatever. I'm giving that over to Seth Curry. So the drip award for tonight or last night is going to Seth Curry. I won't say critical, I've been very realistic when it comes to Seth Curry and his general impact. While I am excited that we do have a Curry, I have remained rather realistic to the expectations of what he can and cannot do. And the fact that it seems like every time he comes off of some injury, which we don't talk about enough how much that man is injured, but every time he comes back, he has some spectacular display. Now, one of the main things that are leading to that is the attention of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. You see, there's not many jokes here because I got to get this out quickly. What happens when you have both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving out there multiple times, like not just an extended road trip, but when you know that this is permanently our general set. It's like if you're going into a Pokemon battle, like if you're going out there with like your two mains, but you know, like next match, your main's not really going to be there because maybe the type matchup isn't really quite there. Like this is no longer the case. Like you're out there with a fairy type at this point. Like it's very rare you're going to run into something that the fairy type isn't going to work against, and KD's unstoppable as it is. So it's like, I don't know if referring to Kyrie as a fairy, that we're fine, it's 2022. Anyway, knowing that that is always going to be the lineup and knowing that he is always going to be available, we are able to plan and strategize for the type of, not to be cliche, but spacing that we are in store for. And there are two people who will benefit wildly, actually three if we're keeping it that way, who will benefit wildly from it. And all three of them are the other pieces of our starting lineup. We're talking, of course, about Bruce Brown, Andre Drummond, and Seth Curry. Seth Curry is going to have a looks where even if it is contested looks, he's able to do his little like saucy step back co-ed soccer move, you know, his little step back pull up three joint. He's going to be able to get that off because there's not a second defender trailing after him or sandwiching him behind him. There's none of that because the defense has to worry about Kyrie and Kevin. And even when Kyrie Irving has a statistic night last night, which you stat nerds who don't watch the games, you're just looking at the box score, you might look at that and say, oh, well, Kyrie only had 14 points. He's a bum. He shot 4 for 11. No, he didn't have to. He didn't have to. His job, unless we're just getting smacked around by the opponent, his job is to be the decoy. He's the decoy. Him and Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, Kevin can score on anything. We saw what happened a couple times. Kyrie tried to go to ISO Island, and Jimmy Butler sent him to the Shadow Realm a couple times. But that's not here there. But Kyrie's the decoy. So with Kyrie out there, all he has to do is touch the ball either one, or even just be on the court, and the defensive attention is on those two. So Bruce Brown is able to cut freely and get his Umbreon off, and he can just do baton pass over to Claxton or something like that, or Drummond. And last night was an example of everyone using their Gundam properly, because when you have all the pieces, like I guess in this example, Kyrie is the right arm. If we're playing, like if we're a Gundam and we only have one arm, like maybe that explains why we're not using the other pieces. You can't even hold the beam rifle if you've only got one arm for the sword or something like that. You know what I mean? So having both arms are able to use all the weapons that the Gundam has. What I mean by that, if this is your first time watching any of my videos, what I mean by that is you're able to give Drummond the ball down low in the post and get out the way. Let him go to ISO Island, which is why, you know, you see such amazing wizardry, if you will, from Blake Griffin. Because Blake Griffin is out there and able to operate the way he wants. We didn't see much post stuff from him, but the amount of threes he was able to hit, he's able to get into his bag because we're letting them do what they want to do. We're not trying to force them into, okay, you stand in the corner and I'll drive and kick. No, let him ISO. Let him dribble a couple times, then blow up if the defense doesn't take him seriously. Or if they do try to close out on him, let him bully you down, kick it out to a shooter, or take the ball up himself. That's what Blake does. Let Blake take the ball down the court. Like, that's what he's there for. And if all the defensive attention is on the other stars, then Blake is able to get his shenanigans off. And you see what happens when you let that man play. Same thing with Andre Drummond. That post stuff is effective because he's probably down there by himself against a small forward because you got Bam on Kevin Durant. And I don't think the Martin twins are going to be enough, whichever variation we have. And same thing if you let Markieff in or something like that. Whichever variation of the Morris twins, that's not going to be enough to stop Drummond down low. If you have your best of, like if Jimmy Butler is on Kyrie the whole night and you got Bam on KD for the rest of the night, is Kyle Lowry stopping Claxton? I don't think so. So now that we have a legitimate game plan against teams like the Heat, who we should have never been taken seriously, and I put the Bulls in the same category, these teams where I never took them seriously, we'll be fine. Now, we're going to need Ben Simmons back at some point to deal with Giannis. But the rest of the teams in the East, what we have right now, as long as no one gets hurt, we're good. We're good. And it's so much more than just this idea of, oh, you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. That should be enough. No, this sets up the rest of the team. Because if it's just Kevin, that's not enough. That's not enough. All you have to do is stop Kevin. But having to stop Kevin and Kyrie, and if they're actually passing the ball and getting other people involved, you don't know what to do. And that results in team wins. And when everyone is getting involved on the offensive end, there's a higher chance of everyone getting involved on the defensive end. When you got Kevin Durant doing the too small thing, and that leads to an Andre Drummond deuces, an Andre Drummond too small celebration, or when Bruce Brown is wrestling on the floor for a ball, kicks it over to Curry at basically half court, and that man sprays, and he just turns and just stares at the fans like, and? That type of stuff is what leads to the hustle on the other side of the ball. That's how we get those Chicago Bull games. If we can make this work, these subpar teams that are just overachieving, like your Cavaliers, like your Hawks, well, I take the Hawks pretty seriously, but like the Hawks or the Hornets or something like that, or even the Celtics, like, we'll be fine. The only team I'm personally concerned about is Milwaukee. But if another team takes them out, we're good. We won't see Milwaukee for a while. So assuming another team takes them out and it's really just a situation of like, I don't know, like Heat, Bulls, Sixers on the way to the finals, I don't see us losing even if Ben Simmons doesn't come back this year. But we're doing it because we have both of them out there and they're willingly distributing the ball. As long as they do that and everyone else is involved and energized and James Johnson is out there handing out two pieces, we will be fine. But let's see if they continue that energy. Tonight is obviously a big event because it's a home game and Kyrie's going to play for the first time. It's interesting because we started this year with riots in front of the Barclays. Now it's just a regular, oh, welcome back, Kyrie. So this should be an interesting game to watch. But what I'm watching for is not the hype surrounding it, is if the Nets are going to keep this consistent energy because it is an inferior team, 1,000%. So I'm hoping that we keep the same energy, and what they do is a continuation of what we built here. Because games prior, months prior, a win like this we couldn't build off of because Kyrie wasn't going to be there. But now that Kyrie's here for the rest of the remaining 8, let's see if they carry this energy. If they don't, we got to go back to the drawing board and start pointing fingers again. But assuming they do, we should be in the clear, and this is all just target practice until the play-in. Or maybe even playoffs, because the Cavs keep losing. And we about to hand the Hornets an L2. And the Hawks are like really up and down with how they win and lose, so we should be fine. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. And I just want to just sprinkle this on top. This one has nothing to do with Steve Nash. We could have had a pet rock with googly eyes sitting on the bench, and we would have had the same result. This has nothing to do with Steve at all.